Hi everybody. So I hope everybody had a nice long weekend and a happy Easter. I'm going to be doing my oracle message for the collective. I also figured I'd just chat a little before I dive into that message. So my intent is not to just do videos to sell classes, but I would like to explain because I get a lot of questions. So I figured I'd just touch on the ministry program that some of you see out there, that we sometimes have events that the ministers are doing. Right now I have 5 graduated ministers that graduated from last year's program, and I will have 12 more, as they will be graduating the last weekend of April this year, so I'm very excited about that. It's actually a mystic and ministry program, and it lasts 10 months. So long story short, everything is a long story for me. I have always gravitated to mystical topics, theology, learning about different religions and faiths for a very long time, and that ticked up probably my early 20s to where I was really being called into the holistic spiritual world, but was confused at the time. There wasn't necessarily tons of places around like now, and there was mostly churches and things of that nature. So through lots of research and going into being immersed, I guess, into the spiritual world, and a lot of you know me, know I have a really deep love of Mother Mary. I was not raised Catholic. I was actually raised in an evangelical church till about age 9. Then in my teens, adolescent years, teens, went Episcopal with family. And then with the devotion I've always had to Mother Mary, I went through my Catholic sacraments in my early 20s. So what's interesting is, I guess I'd call myself more of a mystical Catholic in that time, as I was more drawn to the experience of what I was feeling when I was having mystical experiences with Mother, what you would think of as Mother Mary or Our Lady, and so that's really what drew me to that, and the power of what I guess the spirit I was feeling, and not so much of the dogma. I'm not a dogma girl. So as time went on, I realized that Mary was wherever I was. It had nothing to do with the actual religion, but I went into more, trained in Reiki and many different modalities, and became ordained as an interfaith minister in 2005, and certified in metaphysical counseling. So then in 2013, I was also ordained through Metaphysical Universal Ministry, which is a church out of Pennsylvania, and they ordained me as well. So I'm ordained through 2 organizations, but both with interfaith designations. The second one, I went through more of a training and study, intensive study of different world religions and such. And so fast forward to actually it was 2021 to 2022. So fast forward to 2021, I developed the Birch Tree Interfaith Ministry. So which is a big love of mine, and a lot of people know me, know that. I started with just the room here at the Soul Purpose that started as the Birch Tree Chapel. We now refer to it as the Birch Tree Sanctuary because we realized it was really interfaith, non-denominational, non-dogma, just a spiritual haven so that everybody is welcome, and we recognize kind of all the world faiths in that room. Sometimes we have different classes and teachings in there, and the focus of The ministry really is not about having a weekly congregation and church sermon. It's really about a spiritual haven, place where everybody feels welcome, everybody can feel loved, and learn in a safe place to being able to ask questions. So it's what I would call a teaching slash healing ministry. Sometimes we have fundraisers, but primarily we do some events like spiritual cleansings or soul empowerments for people. We like to help people that are dealing with, wanting to get well if they're dealing with illness. On the flip side, we do offer ministry services like weddings, funerals, baptisms, naming ceremonies, wedding vow renewals, everything. But primarily the focus is as a teaching and healing ministry. And which leads me to the 10-month course. So it's a mystic slash ministry program. So over those 10 months, we do have in the beginning a 3-day weekend, like a Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday intensive, where we get immersed into lots of mystic exercises to experience and touch the mystic within us, which really has nothing to do with religion. It's everything to do with your soul. But we do also learn about world religions. So the long weekend is usually a time of deep connection and community, and beautiful exercises and learnings and healing experiences. And then we meet monthly for 10 months. And in those 10 months, we are doing homework in between, meaning there's stuff that is read. We work with A Course in Miracles, Entering the Castle. So there's a practice of navigating the mystic within you and how to be a mystic in modern day times with all of these distractions in our world. And then we also learn about world religions, Buddhism, for instance. We also learn, about how to work with people of different religions, meaning if somebody asks us to do a wedding, or we're there, for people with a funeral or memorial, whatever it may be, that we are able to hold space and honor that person's belief system, that we're not trying to convert anybody, if that makes any sense. So the end of the program, there's another long weekend like the one we have coming up, where I'm so excited. Everybody will be ordained on the Sunday. It's a big event when they graduate. Family comes to witness the initiation, the ceremony, and they get ordained. So they become ministers of the Birch Tree Interfaith Ministry. They also get ordained through the Universal Brotherhood movement, where I'm a minister director, which enables me to ordain others. And they umbrella the program. They overlight the whole program, like kind of gave me their blessing with that. And then in a way, it's not a charter, but they use their church umbrella to overlay our ministry. So that way I'm able to legally ordain, meaning people are legally ordained and recognized as ministers in the United States. In the state of Massachusetts, they can register. I teach all of that, how to register if doing clergy services is something that you're looking for. Even in other states. So I do have students that can do it on Zoom. The program's in person. It's offered on Zoom. We offer payment plans. Due to the nature of it being a 10-month program, people often choose the payment plan, which is fine for me. I just feel it makes the world a better place. It grows you spiritually. It prepares you for doing things too. Like if you don't really, you get ordained no matter what, but you're not required to be a minister. So for you, if your ministry is just healing, like you want to have a private healing practice, but we teach you how to do, spiritual advising or spiritual guidance, grief guidance, how to be with people in the values and ethics around all that. So I encourage anybody that is interested in the program or on the fence to contact me at jessica@thesoulpurposema.com, and any other program you may have interest in. My next video, I'll probably talk about my healer training program. I know we offer a lot of things here. So any questions at all, just message me. And even if you need to, I've done with a few people is schedule some like 15-minute Zoom calls where I discuss the program and answer some questions. So the program's near and dear to my heart. I'm very passionate about it, as you can tell. And it really will fit in with whatever spiritual evolution you're called to. You know, the people I have in my program now are all mixed. I have people who are more shamanic based, some that are more interfaith based or mystical based, some that are really into just straight healing arts. There's no right or wrong to that. But the program will start up in June, and our long weekend will be the second weekend in June, starting on that Friday night, and the graduating weekend is always the last weekend in April. So that will be in 2024, which is hard to believe that this is my second graduating class, and I'm very excited. So I'm just gonna have everybody take a deep breath with me. Take another deep breath, allowing your body to relax as I am focusing my intention on picking some oracle cards, just to give a general message and plug into what we're feeling within the world. You know, there's this chronic tone of anxiety over the state of our country and in the whole planet. So I'll see if I can pull in a higher message for everybody. So I'm picking out of a couple different decks, actually 3 different decks. So and while I'm not I don't call myself an astrologer by any means. Like a lot of you, I know my signs, my rising sign, my moon sign, all that stuff. But I do believe that Mercury is going into retrograde next week, if it's around the 21st. So I know people tend to get anxious about that too. So we'll see what the message brings. Beautiful. Okay. So I'll go through. So the decks, just so you know, that I used is my Keepers of the Light deck. It's a Kyle Gray deck. It's a very pretty deck, but it always speaks to me. This is a deck I've been working with for a good 15 years. Colette Baron Reed, Wisdom of Avalon. I even teach my Oracle card certification classes with this deck a lot of the times. I love it. And then my Archangel Power Tarot deck. That's by Radley Valentine. So it's interesting. I've got two king cards. So King of Michael, King of Archangel Gabriel. This would be King of Wands in the tarot deck. This would be the King of Swords. So for this to come up, so it's about a lot of divine masculine energy. We've been dealing with a lot of wounded wounded divine masculine, but I also feel we're trying to work on bringing in a healed divine masculine energy. So Archangel Michael in this particular card represents like a lot of connecting into your inner wisdom, being objective, like, you know, not believing or buying into everything you're seeing or hearing on the news, or even everybody's got something different. Everybody's got an opinion, right? Including me. But I recognize that a lot of times what I'm listening to are that opinions, and then also the fear we can sometimes and anxiety we can plug into when we might over focus on things. So I'm not saying ignore it, like, or act like it doesn't exist, but to stay centered and realizing like we have to stay in the moment. So this card's about that, like using your own inner wisdom and being objective about the things that you hear, to stay within your own alignment. Like what do you value in your life? What is important to you? What is your values? That's how you stay in integrity with oneself, right? So this is all about being honest for yourself and with others and how you speak and communicate. I think I may have picked this card another time in one of my collectives readings, because it's very familiar. It's like I'm getting deja vu while I'm doing this. But this card is just about actually being rational. You know, that the times in our world or in your own personal life are calling for you to remain centered, but I would add grounding, you know, a grounding energy to stay level-headed and rational. Sometimes you need to step out of something and set a boundary and take a break. You know, go take a day to yourself where you kind of get your thoughts and action plan put together. So this card is calling for complete honesty, and also open communication with the people in your life, direct communication, but also to balance that with making sure you're grounded and centered, because it's really an important time now, and anchoring into your own wisdom. So with that being said, where Archangel Gabriel's coming in too, because he's also brings in communication, but also about what inspires you, what inspires passion in you, you know, because that's a thing I've been hearing too from so many people lately, is everybody's feeling cut off from their passion. You know, we've been putting out fires over the past few years, it seems, in a lot of people's lives, like just one fire after another fire, like putting out, that people have an odd time getting back into alignment and feeling their own sense of passion and where they want to channel that. So this, both are very good cards. It's saying to keep your eyes on the bigger picture, not lose energy on the little things. You know, like don't get too caught up in what I would call trivial matters and give energy away, or let things ruminate in here that just use precious life force energy. This card's about you can have concern for people in your life or things going on, but to the end of the day, to get in touch with your boundaries, your integrity, your inner wisdom, and then to communicate that and be honest. And when it comes to a collective level of the world, realizing what you have control over and what you don't. You know, when it comes to the collective, all we can do is manage ourselves, which comes into, we got the letting go card and the deer. So letting go is easier said than done. I hear people say that all the time. Just let go of that. Well, if your ego or your mind has a grip on something, it's not going to just let it go because we tell it to or somebody tells us to. That's a daily process. I bring it up often, the 5 Reiki principles, which to me, whether you're Reiki initiated or not, are tenets that anybody can live their life by. And one of them is like, just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will not anger. You surrender it for the day, or you surrender it for the moment, because we're human and we take things back on. We have to remind ourselves to surrender. And that comes in, the deer brings gentleness and diplomacy. So it kind of matches what we were getting with the King of Gabriel and Michael, with using your inner wisdom and speaking with honest truth. That aligns with integrity. But the deer does it in a way where there's not so much bickering, fighting, us against them energy. It's more of a mediator, where it's, where can we find a balance? Where can we come to balance? And so that would be collectively, but think within your life, where could you use some gentleness? Where could you use some diplomacy? What do you need to let go of? And rather than telling yourself, I have to let go of this to heal, because we kind of can put some demands on ourselves, right? If it doesn't seem like it lets go easy, rather than beating yourself up, is look at why am I struggling with this? Sometimes we need to sit with something and visit it daily, as more insight can come up. And it lets go when it's meant to let go. Kind of like a stream or a river moving, or a current, in the ocean. It ebbs and flows. You'll have days you think it's gone, you've let go of it, and it resurfaces. But it may resurface differently. So it's a process. There's no race to the finish line. I'm being told to say, just allow the letting go process. Surrendering. Being in that flow, which will help with healing, and allow yourself the space to feel and have the feelings that come up, allowing them to move through that current of like a river flowing, or a stream. And then we get one of my favorites, Mary Magdalene. She's one of my personal favorites, and Lady Venus. So what these cards mean, these are ascended masters. Mary Magdalene is about awakening the teacher inside of yourself. She wants you to take inventory of what's calling you. What is calling you from within? Something you may want to share and you haven't. We have lots of things that stop us from doing things, whether we're afraid of what people think of us, or how it impacts our life, whether we have enough money for something, or somebody's going to, be disappointed in us. There's always a reason to think about things and process and make sure it's in alignment with us. But also that if something keeps popping up, like it's calling you, and it's not different, meaning it's the same thing that keeps trying to surface over and over, even if you try to pack it away and it keeps coming back up, that's the inner teacher speaking to you. Like, you need to look at this. We need to have a plan around this. So that's what Mary Magdalene's card means, is what is surfacing, what is your inner call, what is popping up in your heart that you want to either bring in your life or discover. You might know what it is along with that inner call, and that's great. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's just a feeling that you can't articulate. Like, it feels like you're being nudged, being called to something, but you don't know exactly what that is. So if that's the case, pray to receive clarity on that. Pray to receive a knowing that you feel convicted. Because at the end of the day, the only person who knows your inner call is you. Or your life task, your life purpose. You'll hear me call them different things. The end of the day, nobody can tell you what that is. You were designed for that, and you came into this life with that purpose, and that's your contract. Somebody else might have ideas, and we can point you in a direction towards it, but you would get that, or you step into something you're called to. You might not realize it's your purpose till you're fully in it. I know my purpose is healing and teaching. I use the soul purpose to present that. I use my ministry, the Birch Tree Ministry, to bring that to people. But if the Birch Tree Ministry or the soul purpose didn't exist, that would still be my purpose. Does that make sense? And I would still bring it to the world in some form. So if it couldn't be this way, it'd be another way. So when you think of your life purpose, it doesn't have to be contingent on one specific thing, right? I used to work in banking. I was still a teacher and a healer there. I just didn't realize it till after I left. But it's how you impact people consistently, your own way. And sometimes we're not sure what that way is, and it takes some time to sit with it and understand who you are at your core level. But you can ask your guides, you can ask your angels, your teacher guides to assist you in pointing you to that inner wisdom. So that is where this card comes in, Lady Venus, because she helps you with the downloads that you get from the higher dimensions or your guides, that sometimes we have no freaking clue what they're telling us. They're giving us numbers on license plates, or we're seeing numbers on clocks or the microwave, on receipts. We get different signs, and you get those signs, you get excited, but you're like, what does it all mean, right? What does it exactly mean? Because a message doesn't always come to you like you're getting a notebook and they write. Wouldn't that be great if our guides could just write exactly what they want in instruction? And I bet if we even got guidance like that, we wouldn't all listen. Because we historically as humans don't always listen. But this card really is about the downloads coming from those other dimensions, and how do we understand and decipher the messages coming to us. There's truth packaged up in those little signs or messages we receive. And sometimes it can take us a while because we're dense to break down the deep insight that comes. Sometimes our consciousness isn't ready for it. And then as we evolve, the consciousness opens up and those messages reveal themselves to us. We might not know that it was a message from 5 years ago that we're finally understanding, but we have some type of epiphany or deeper understanding of something that it's like, oh, I get that now. But it comes from those other dimensions and realms that are trying to help us. So to bring that in with the Mary Magdalene card is more of like trying to connect in to that part of yourself. Mary Magdalene helps with that, of what's trying to keep you on course with your life task here, your chosen purpose, your chosen path. And with those messages we get that sometimes can bring us to deeper confusion, is where Lady Venus, this card is to sit with that and allow that understanding and wisdom to come through. So for a collective, I think when we look at what's happened, the craziness in our world and our planet, and what happens, I said this to some of my students the other day, like a lot of us pray for more light in the world, more light in our life. As humans, we struggle to see what's in the shadows sometimes. Historically, we're afraid of the dark. More light doesn't necessarily mean, like, I think of like, photo or video like this where I could put a filter on and you could see something else. There's no filter on this, but I could put a filter and all you'd see is bunny ears or a halo over my head, whatever I want you to see, right? And sometimes we do that. We put out like a spiritual mask of sorts or some type of smoke screen, rather than, even though the authentic us is perfectly fine, but we were taught not to love it. And when more light comes in, I tell people you have to be ready to see what that light shows you. It shows you what's in the darkness. It's like, I had everybody laughing in my class. I was like, you ever in the car and you're driving or you're parked somewhere and the sunlight is just streaming beautifully into the car and it hits your face and you happen to look in the rearview mirror and you see everything wrong with your skin, You know, you see pores, or you see, oh my God, I have a freaking hair growing out of a follicle that doesn't belong there, or I have a sunspot, and we tend to be self-critical. But that's what happens when more light comes into your life, more holy light. It makes you look at things. So I always ask for ease and grace with that. So I'm ready to, face one thing at a time. As that light comes in, and we build stamina to be able to hold that light in our own life, which means we're able to navigate the darker places. I do teach that in the ministry program. That's one of the things that we work on, is building that stamina. But from a collective level, when you look at the world, it doesn't appear that there's more light in the world. It appears like there's more darkness. But that's because that light is really blaring into the world. It's exposing everything. And it does take time. We're all wondering why things don't clear up overnight. It just doesn't. But time is an illusion too, even though it doesn't feel that way. So I thank you for listening to my video. I'll be putting out another one probably in a week or so. I try to do a couple of these a month. But how about before we close, we just bring our hands to our heart and just connect to that deep soul seat within here, connecting to your inner wisdom. And take a deep breath in. Exhale out as we connect to that deep peace that is available for us all the time. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day.